Hello and welcome back to the LEC, where Vedi and I are here to take you through the final 3 games of day 1 of week 3, the final week of our LEC regular season here in winter, the final week before we get into Fearless, Vedi. You know, the true test of our team's metals. Until now, who cares? You know, as long as you're not bottom 2, does it really matter how you've played until we get into Fearless? I think some analysts around the world would say perhaps we can draw some conclusions, and so far Rogue have played poorly is the general consensus, whereas G2 are on a bit of an uptick after beating Giant X at the end of last week.
We jump into the draft with a Zyra ban. We've seen G2 in their previous iteration and in this iteration be quick adopters of the AP jungle meta, and I feel like in the current meta we're seeing a lot more of that in Europe, whether it be the Zyra or the Maokai being the prevalent two. We've also seen the brand even come out from SkewMond. I wonder what the priority will be today. It's K'Sante and Skarner taken away from the side of G2. The Draven directed towards Hans Sama. This does mean that, of course, a number of power picks are up and available, in particular in the AD carry pool. Kalista, Varus, Corki, the flexibility that the champion has, along with the Maokai and the Sejuani, that we've seen be high priorities here in Europe.
Victor's still available as well if we want to, if Larssen's going to go towards that. Hasn't played it yet this split, but does seem to be a champion that would feel very much in his wheelhouse. Azir, the final ban from G2, met by Draven from Rogue, and now Rogue are thinking about that first pick. As you say, Varus often at the top of the leaderboards, but Maokai alongside him in terms of first pick priority.
Now, typically G2 would respond with a fast clearing jungler, but instead they're going for a little bit of dive. They've got themselves the Vi. I wonder if we'll see the K'Sante paired alongside it. Ooh, Ezreal for Hans Sama. Now, we've seen him play the Ezreal before. I think towards the end of last year we started seeing him playing it a little bit more, but for those long-time LEC viewers, you all know the Hans Sama, not traditionally an Ezreal player. We know him for his Misfortune, his Draven, his Kalista, his Varus, his typically lane-dominant AD carries. So getting to see him play a little bit more of this range is definitely a testament to the meta that we're seeing with poke and range being the dominant factor.
Yeah, say what you want, Vedi, though. He did win a game on it against BLG at Worlds. Yeah. So, best Ezreal in the world, world caliber Ezreal. Although they went on to lose finals, so it's really any good, you know. Jayce and Yone currently the hovers for Rogue. They've locked in the Jayce. If you add a Yone in there as well, that is a bit AD heavy top side, yeah. It would surprise me a little bit. Corki, though.
That's a little bit more.
There we go. Would be the first time Larssen's brought it out. Can, of course, be flexed down to Patrik in the bot lane. He's played it once already, the split.
But, I mean, unfortunately for Larssen, there is the Corki Larssen incident that happened many years ago. Fortunately, we're well past that. We'll see how his Corki performs today.
I doubt most of our fans actually recall that incident as well. It was a few years ago now.
Yeah, it was, I mean, the package was involved, which isn't in the game anymore. Now, Leona going to be locked in on the side of G2, so a pretty strong bot side of the map. Ezreal Leona is a common bot lane combo that we've been seeing throughout the world in the current meta, which means that you expect AD carries to be the follow-up ban, or maybe supports instead. The Rel, the Alistair, the Braum, all very viable to mitigate the, well, I say the disengaged potential that Rogue could be looking for against this type of comp.
Yeah, I think if you ban out AD carries, the risk is the Corki just goes into that AD carry slot, right? So banning out the supports makes a little bit more sense. Rel already removed by G2. Rogue maybe we'll look up towards the top side, try and get rid of things that work well into the Jayce. Although we have seen flexed from time to time, the expectation is that Adam will be taking that up into the top side. Gragas the ban, Poppy as well removed by G2. Good ban there. Already would counter the Vi's engage and the ability for the Leona to get in.
Certainly would. I was thinking about G2 even picking the Poppy themselves, but I guess they're deciding, you know what, given the amount of range and poke that Rogue already have, probably not worth it on the top side of the map. The Ambessa, I think, makes a lot of sense, but they've really pinched Broken Blade's pool. This split, he's played K'Sante, Gragas, Ambessa, Poppy, and then he's got a Renekton game in there, but 4 out of those 5 have been taken away. So we'll see what he's got prepared for as Broken Blade, often the innovator here in Europe, or at the very least the first to demonstrate some of the new picks that we see on the patches. Ooh, Ahri going to come out from Caps. Not the most prevalent mid lane champion in the world right now, but synergizes beautifully with Vi. A great lockdown combo, a lot of mobility, and a lot of backline threats.
Just giving people with CC, and the Ahri works really well with it. The ability to Spirit Rush onto the backline, land charms as well. G2 fell foul of it when Hans Sama was caught out by fake MSI last year. I'm sure Caps will be looking to make some catches of his own here. There's the Braum, though, which does stop a bit of that ability to get onto the back line, because if we do see the Vi jumping in, the Braum just puts up Unbreakable. It's very hard to get past that initial front line. You've got quite a tanky line already for Rogue with the Braum and the Maokai. They can get to a good spot.
Might just be the final lock.
Yeah, just get some poke, get some range.
Yeah. Oh, but of course, there's always the possibility of the Corki moving down to AD carry. We did talk about that earlier. The hover of a potential mid lane pick. Maokai would be a little surprised by the Galio direction. I feel like there's really not a lot of dive coming out.
Cho!
We're going to get a Cho'Gath on the top side of the map. We'll talk a little bit about that matchup, but this to me suggests that G2 could be considering a lane swap. Cho'Gath relatively safe, given that he does have that extra bit of sustain and can farm from a bit of range. But this Galio, typically you see Galio in dive comp, sort to provide a lot of extra protection. And I think into Ahri the matchup can be fine, but I'm just a little bit concerned about the damage output. I mean, I guess you could argue that against the decent amount of dive that G2 has with the Vi and the Ahri, it can offer a decent amount of protection alongside the Braum. Rogue have a lot of disengage tools, but I feel like that if Rogue want to engage, I don't know if there's really a lot that the Galio can follow up on. So I'm curious to see how Rogue look to leverage this Galio and how it works in the team composition. G2 have gone for somewhat of a traditional front to back. They have a little bit more pick and a little bit more control over the side lanes, with the Ahri being able to move and potentially shadow the Cho'Gath with solid front to back options around these team fights. Vi and the Leona are going to be very reliant on setting up these fights and engaging for G2. And synergy between the jungle and supports is what we're going to be looking at for both sides as we jump into this game.
I don't think we're excited enough about this Cho pick, Vedi. I know he's just a tank.
And maybe it's because I've been watching too much The Bouse recently.
Exactly,
so
right? I've been looking through my stats, and I am getting the confirmed. So these are just loose stats that I've looked up. I can't see him having been played anywhere in a major region so far this year.
But I saw it in recent history.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find that, and it may be that my stats are just wrong. But you could have just been watching Los Ratonas, and you've seen a bit of Cho'Gath there. We'll get the stats checked as soon as we can, but BB in the top lane on the Cho does have really good sustain with that. Carnivore works well in lane swap as well. We kind of talked about it a little bit. It looks like Rogue are going to move Patrik and Execute up towards that top side of the map. They're currently hovering the top side of mid. Adam did work his way into the bushes in the top lane, and Rogue will push in here, force SkewMond out of his jungle.
Information is key in the early game. Rogue getting some deep wards. Will they drop that deep ward in the top lane? They are looking for it. Patrik is going to spot out Broken Blades. I wonder who really wants the lane swap here. Of course, Corki, a very powerful early laner. Braum can offer a lot in the 2 versus 2, but you imagine the Ezreal Leona just can play it relatively safe. How Execute's face checking.
I immediately gets charmed. Okay. Execute, well, he's lived up to his name there. Caps gets first blood. I'm not sure about that face check.
A crucial mistake. G2 see you walk into the jungle. You have to respect the possibility that they're lying in wait. He doesn't, and he's punished for it. They will draw first blood. It will be standard lanes across the board. And it's going to be the Ahri that's picking it up. Now, of course, due to the changes coming into this year's patch, first blood doesn't give you that extra gold. It did contribute to the feats of strength, not anymore. Now it's the first 3 kills. So 2 more, and G2 will be that 1 step closer to securing those extra boots. Yeah,
alongside that, obviously, you want to get the first tower and the 3 epic monsters with the singular grub counting as 1 to that 3. I have had it confirmed. It's the first Cho we've seen this year. I also believe we didn't see it in competitive last year either, Vedi. So it's been a couple of years since Cho.
I'm glad you're excited about Cho'Gath.
I just like new picks. You literally said it in draft. You were like, Broken Blade's the guy to bring new metas into the LEC. And then he picks Cho'Gath. Then what do we go? Oh, it's going to be a lane swap. It's going to be really boring. They haven't even lane swapped, Vedi.
They haven't.
Get on the Cho hype train.
I mean, we can go to the...
He's literally the Messi of League.
Who is?
Bouse. But he brought the Cho to everyone's attention.
You're right. It's true. Soon the AP Jax will be dominating solo queue, I'm sure. Now, we can turn our attention to the top lane, and you'll notice Cho'Gath is struggling, Medic. Okay. This is typical of what you'd expect in the matchup. Jayce has a lot of pushing power in the early laning phase, but the beautiful thing about Cho is the amount of sustain that you have in the matchup. Now, I am anticipating that he is heading towards more of a tank atomization rather than the one-shot AP builds that some have been enthusiastic. I mean, I used to be a big Cho mid enthusiast going full AP. Used to be a fun matchup into Katarina. Just some weird trivia for you there.
But I do think tanks just at the moment are pretty strong. So it makes a lot of sense for him to go tank. Good charm there from Caps onto Larssen.
Notice he holds the Q, noticing the damage reduction. The second half would have done the true damage, but the initial part wouldn't have. And so that good patience there from Caps forces the flash out from Larssen, because Larssen was aware of the exact same thing. I'm going to lose this DR if I mean, there's the risk of me getting killed.
Just calling it DR shows how much of a lost art gamer you are, man.
I mean, it's just an MMO thing in general, I feel. You know, the damage reduction.
In this situation. So, Broken Blade having to back in the top lane. Last time we saw the Cho'Gath in the LEC as well was Broken Blade back in 2023. SkewMond is looking down towards the bottom lane. Patrick's already used the Valkyrie away. The Unbreakable from Execute. Good flash from SkewMond. Patrick's going to have to flash away. Execute dashes back with the stand behind me. And we'll be able to get to safety. Larssen forced out in the mid lane. Broken Blade now on the receiving end of the gank in the top lane. Adam flashes to knock him back. And oh no, Cho has been gaffed by Adam and Malrang. I don't know what gaffed is, but it kind of fit in with the name.
Nice try, but it will be a Rogue getting themselves on the kill leaderboard as they find a nice gank towards the top side of the map. Broken Blade even expended his flash to try and get out of that situation. Unfortunately for him, it wasn't quite enough. You can find himself at quite the deficit now towards the top side of the map as Adam, with a healthy gold lead, grabs himself the tier and a few components as well. Overall, the gold lead very even across the board, even though Cap's finding small advantages in the mid lane matchup. And the flash now burnt for Patrik means that G2 likely setting their sights on the bot side of the map, and it does make sense. Typically, you wouldn't look to try and play for the Cho'Gath lane, but for Rogue, getting this Jayce ahead really sets themselves up for success come the mid-game. He has some really nice item spikes, especially once he has that tier fully stacked. And with the grubs spawning in about a minute's time, G2 have moved their bot lane up towards the top side of the map. Now, there is an option here for Rogue to be able to match this. If they can have Patrik push out this next wave, he still has enough time to go back to base and start pathing up towards top. You'll notice the Execute already on his way, suggesting that G2 wants to make sure at the very least that Adam is not left isolated. Turning my attention to the jungle as well. While we're kind of discussing and contemplating the possibility of a grub, SkewMond is actually starting off the Dragon. Part of that is because Broken Blade's already been able to get an early push on the bot side of the map, with Caps having control of the mid lane as well, making this a very difficult objective to really enter for the side of Rogue.
I also like the idea of the play where you bring your AD carry up early, you show AD in the top side, the enemy responds thinking, oh, they're playing for the grubs, they're trying to set up towards this top side. You saw Execute running through the lane, not really getting vision around the grubs. They do have the Scuttlecraft, but a lot of Rogue's attention over the last minute or so has been towards this top side. So SkewMond's like, well, we have push in bot, we have push in mid, might as well take this Drake even before the grubs spawn.
I'm keeping my eyes on Broken Blade. I thought there was a window where he was going to look to move, but instead he's keeping his presence bot for now. Patrik and him continuing to match up. In this 4v4, it's going to be a close one. This Braum can offer a lot of value.
Exactly like that. You see the stun already onto Labrov. He's now going to have to walk away, a little bit wounded as Malrang's on the chase. Splashes forward for SkewMond, gets the knockback. Execute looking for those concussive blows will get them onto SkewMond, who falls to Malrang. Now the chase continues. Labrov has to flash away, and Summer still has the flash and the cleanse and an arcane shift to get himself to the relative safety of the tower.
I mean, just the power of Jayce in these early skirmishes doing a lot of work for Rogue as they end up finding a nice collapse. The Braum passive, as we were just discussing, just offering so much value in these 2v2s and 3v3s. Rogue setting themselves up nicely to start off the grubs uncontested as G2, as quickly as they can, look for a cross map. Caps immediately roaming towards bot, threatening a potential dive into Patrik. He's forced to concede the wave, so at the very least G2 will get something, but Rogue is going to be happy with the grubs.
Broken Blade's going to get some gold back into his pockets after falling behind in the early game. Patrik only a little bit behind Summer, who has now returned to base, picking himself up a Phage. Both the AD carries on basically exactly the same items, just with differing stacks on their tiers.
Now, there was the possibility that G2 could swap the lanes once more, but instead they're going to keep sending Summer up towards the top lane. Patrik, given that he spent so much time alone on the bot side of the map, very close to level 6, so he does have about a half a level advantage over Hans. He's going to make his way up towards the top side of the map, and no neutral objectives for the time being. So it's kind of a return to standard lanes as Adam, investing his TP to go up against Broken Blade, can go back to bullying him similarly to what we saw within the first few levels.
Broken Blade just building health, trying to sustain up. You can see the stacks that Broken Blade's picked up on the top right of his portrait. So you see Patrik trying to stack up that Gatling gun on Summer, who is just able to arcane shift away. Importantly, with the Cho'Gath stacks, You get a stack if you execute something with Feast, whether it's a minion, an epic monster, etc. But you can only get up to 6 from non-epic monsters and from minions. So Broken Blade will be looking for Drake secures, Baron secures, Grub secures, all of these things to get those extra stacks above the 6 he can naturally get.
Yeah, it's very common for Cho'Gaths to just use it on the cannon, you know, during the laning phase. Because typically, unless you're in solo queue, of course, in pro play at the very least, their priority is getting that extra bit of health. But that extra added smite value in the mid to late game is insanely powerful, and it makes those steals that much harder to do. Alternatively, the potential steal from a flash over the wall Cho'Gath is very real for Rogue. So they're going to have to be cautious of that, as this matchup will get a little bit easier as time goes by. The extra durability of the Cho'Gath going to prove dividends. The slows on the E are an effective trading tool. You can see not taking as much damage, but still no easy matchup for the Cho'Gath for now.
Adam doing a really good job of sidestepping the Rupture there as well, because if the Rupture comes down, then Broken Blade can, you know, just skedaddle his way away from the fight. But if Adam's in melee range, able to avoid that, becomes a lot harder. Patrik still trading onto Hans Summer. Labrov looks like went for a recall, so wasn't there to back up his AD carry for now. A minute 30 on the next Drake.
Looking mid.
That he is, Vedi. Larssen does have flash back up. And Justice Punch will get Larssen to safety.
I mean, this is one of the things I wanted to see a little bit. Ooh, I have to hold my breath. Malrang.
Broken Blade's going to be caught up by this. They'll still have the flash, trying to trade back onto Adam, who's holding his distance for now. The Rupture goes wide, and Broken Blade is slammed into the ground by the tree. 3-1 now for Rogue. They pick up that first feat.
The chain CC is just too strong from the Maokai. It's very easy to lock this Cho'Gath down, and even if he did flash away, he knew that he wasn't going to get away with his life. So they concede another kill. And as you highlighted, Rogue getting 3 on the board. That first blood really not doing much for G2 in terms of any significant advantages. This Ahri hasn't really been unlocked on the map, while Caps has done a very good job in the isolated 1v1, building up about a 600 gold lead, sorry. We hear the return of the famous Corki bug.
Yep. Sorry guys, you just have to listen to Gatling Gun whenever we look at Corki for the next little while. Try and get that fixed for you, but it's a spectator bug, nothing to do with production on this end. Next Drake up in 30 seconds time. Grubs comes up in 42, so perhaps we'll see a trade of those neutrals once again. Malrang on his way towards top side, as Broken Blade is the one catching the wave up there right now.
There we go, we're setting up for those Grubs, 30 seconds. Caps has the TP available to him. Larssen has the ulti and TP. He's just showcasing that respect to Caps, knowing that it's a little bit difficult to walk up towards the Ahri. Ooh, nice sidestep though from the Q.
I think it may have been clipped by the edge of it, but he has that magic damage shield, right? Passively on his W. Broken Blade chasing Patrik. Now Patrik has cleanse and flash. Steps into the Rupture, doesn't burn the flash. Feast does a lot of damage right now.
It's on cooldown,
more spikes. Well, Feast is on cooldown. Okay, he's probably not going to kill him, but he does get the flash out. Thank you for pointing that out.
Damn, yeah, I mean, yeah, because but you and I thought the exact same thing. That's a kill.
Yeah, Feast does like 300 damage plus percentage HP right now.
They are able to steal one Grub away. Okay, I was going to say I was surprised that they were backing off of that, but Adam had priority over the mid wave, and him joining this fight, we've already seen what happened on the top side of the map, so they didn't want to get into that skirmish once more. 5 Grubs is going to be the prize for Rogue. It will deny them one of the feats of strength, but Malrang's not too concerned about that, as the sieging power of Rogue is now a little bit stronger. I will say, nice early game plan so far from Rogue, putting a lot of focus onto playing around Adam, attacking this Cho'Gath as much as they can, as the bot lane 2 versus 2 has just played a strong standard lane. Oh, interrupt comes out from Caps.
Boot Rush goes in by Caps here. He'll be looking for the charm as well. Larssen flashes, but still clipped by it. SkewMond's on his way across. In the end, Larssen is able to get to his tower. SkewMond's looking for this Drake now, trying to get that mid-prio through Hans Summer being there first, but the Corki is already gatling his way through that wave. G2 will start up the Drake. Larssen has TP and has that ultimate. The hero's entrance can be so powerful.
It's a bit scuffed of a setup though, because Hans is forced underneath this tower, which means that Patrik has easy access into the river. You can see SkewMond backing away, and Caps literally just used his ultimate bot lane, while Larssen has his. It did cost him his flash, but at the end of the day, Rogue is in a better position. So we've seen a few of these objective starts from G2, and I think they're largely just testing Rogue. See, hey, I mean, if you don't come and check this, we're going to punish you for it.
Labrov's just going to flash for this. Zenith Blade, they know he's got cleanse. Solar Flare just doesn't quite get the stun. Ignite is taken on Patrik, but he'll survive. Nature's Gas coming out from Malrang. The chase continues here with the TP coming in from Adam. They'll look for Hans Summer, able to dodge away from the root. Labrov was unable to, though. Rogue get their 4th on the board. Adam is 2-0-2 now.
I feel like this last week, Adam just spoke to Malrang and said, all right, you and me. It's just going to be the us show.
We'll just fight.
And they are just dominating so far in this early game, punishing the proactive plays from G2 and shutting down this Cho'Gath on the top side of the map. Now, Galio playing into the Cho. This is a very neutral matchup when neither side will really find a significant advantage. I imagine they'll look to try and send Adam into the Ahri. Should be a little bit tougher for Caps to play up against, but no TP available for Adam means that G2 now have a window of opportunity. Those double TP advantages means that they could look to make a play, but the problem is there's no neutral objective on the map to play for. Herald is still 2.5 minutes away. It's Rogue that have escalated this game to about a 1k gold lead. Nothing too significant, but they are dictating the pace of the game so far.
On average, Rogue at 15 minutes are 700 gold behind. For them to be 1,000 ahead at 14 minutes is a drastic shift, almost a 2,000 gold shift from their average. So a very solid early game for them, and it has to be, because this weekend for Rogue is so vital. They need to be picking up wins. They're currently sitting at 1-5 as Larssen is caught out with the Rupture. Doesn't have the flash. Very tanky. Season Assist coming out as well, but Larssen now down to 300 HP, and he is nommed by Broken Blade.
That he is. G2 make a successful gank happen as they punish Larssen on the top side of the map. That was the flash that was burnt earlier, thanks to Caps in the 1v1 bot side of the map. You can see, though, Adam now starting to bully out Caps, and he's primed for a dive.
Nature's Grass coming out once again. Caps does have the flash. TP comes in. Caps Spirit rushes past the Nature's Grass, then back in. Malrang flashes for the Twisted Advance. Caps is shut down. Broken Blade looking for the Rupture. The flash away from Adam is just in time. The chase continues. BB no ult. He's not going to be able to feast on anyone. Importantly, though, for Rogue, they stopped the first tower going down top by making this play. The TP came in from Broken Blade. Larssen can now TP top lane to try and push towards that tower. And if they manage to get it, they will have those feats of strength.
Malrang and Adam just making things happen on the map.
I mean, there have been 5 kills. They've both been involved in all of them.
Yes, they have. And it means that the rest of Rogue can just put pressure elsewhere on the map. And it's just limiting G2's options in the early game. We really haven't seen SkewMond and Caps work together at all in this early game. One of the big things we highlighted was this... Oh,
Execute is flanking, man.
Is it a good flank?
The flanking Braum is the deadliest. Doesn't quite hit the Winter Split. Does get the auto on Han Summer, who will just jump away. Labrov still looking to see if he can go for the engage. Meanwhile, the bot lane tower is going to fall. So it'll be a tower for a tower in the entirety of the exchange. But with Rogue picking up the first turret, they were able to get those upgraded boots.
All right, well, while Execute expressed his dominance in the mid lane,
save the tower.
It's important to recognize that throughout the history of this format, so over the last 2 years, the worst score that G2 has ever gotten is 6-3. And coming into this game, I was talking to you about how I don't expect that record to be blemished in this game, but I have been pleasantly surprised with how Rogue have been playing so far in this early game. I was going to be raising questions around, with this roster change, what we're looking at is synergy, how the team is working together, are they making proactive plays with one another, and so far, every play that G2 has tried to make hasn't really resulted in a huge amount. Rogue has been very respectful of G2 where they are on the map. We didn't see Patrik getting dove when he was on the weak side of the map. We haven't seen really Adam fall short in any of the plays. Meanwhile, Adam and Malrang have just been dominating this early game, extending Rogue's league. And if G2 do lose this game, this will be the first time in the history of this format that they'll be sitting at 4 losses.
Yep.
Because traditionally, in this best of one nature, they've always found a way to get into that top 4 echelon and be a competitor for one of those positions.
Rogue have often struggled to get into those top portions of the table. Right now sitting at 1-5 in 9th place, but let's try and climb a little bit higher. I do want to, like, your point was great, Betty, but I keep watching as the Rupture lands onto Adam. Broken Blade looking for the chases, very tanky. Heartsteel already completed. Looking for another Rupture. Malrang coming across as well, but Broken Blade will just back away.
See now how the matchup has shifted a little.
It shifted just a tad. As Adam is unable to really put the damage down, but his poke later on will be pretty deadly. Labrov now caught out.
Oh, nice.
Zenith Blade was nice from Labrov. Execute kind of gave him a pathway to safety. Nature's Grass coming out as well. Patrik looking for the chase. Han Summer with a good block into Cleanse to save his support, who was definitely mispositioned.
Cap sets his sights on the top tier 1 as SkewMond providing cover. Larssen in a bit of danger, has the flash available though.
Should just be able to walk away from this one. Caps, even with the Spirit Rush, would have had to close a very long gap in a very short period of time. Rift Herald now, though, from G2 as they accelerate the game. 500 gold ahead, looking to break this tier 2 in the top side as we see the rest of Rogue taking a dragon on the bottom side of the map. The tier 2 does fall. Looks like that Rift Herald is going to be rode towards mid lane. Can you do it, SkewMond? You got your driver's license through the gap, round the corner, hit the apex. Now he turned in on me. He just turned in on SkewMond. Can't believe it.
I don't understand that driving reference.
Oh no, you got to look that up, man.
But
it's just not fair. These are all F1 references you're just not going to get.
Yeah, no, super cool. Ooh, another charge. That's 3 for the price of 1 right there.
Yeah. Every little helps.
I do get that reference. Cap still hovering around the top side of the map with SkewMond as they steal away Malrang's camps. He's been invested on the bot side of the map, but you can see how the state of the map has shifted somewhat. G2 have suddenly gained a lot of control as they're pushing in top, mid, and bot. Reset's now going to come through. The Dragon did go over to Rogue, but G2 leveraging that window to great effect as they've swung the gold lead back in their favor.
Yeah, basically got 2,500 gold out of that swing because Rogue were about 800 ahead or so before all of that sequence of events began to happen. And they've opened up the map a bunch more as well. You can see the deep vision on the blue side for G2, just giving them more awareness of where Rogue are moving.
I mean, a lot of that gold is sitting in the pockets of Caps right now. Yes, he did fall prey to that gank, but he's been getting a lot of these tower gold, and he's been farming up a Storm. 212 CS at 19 minutes. So he's going to be the player to watch as he's gone for a little bit more of a tank dealing damage build rather than the burst builds that we often see with Malignants. Choice of words was appalling, but
I like tank dealing damage, man. It's what Cho'Gath's been trying to do this whole game.
Very good V-tanks is my point. But all right, we're setting up for the next objective. Atakan spawning in about 30 seconds. Typically, in the LEC, this is not an objective that we've seen teams rush for. But notice again, Malrang shadowing Adam, something that he's been doing a lot in this game. It is because that bot tower is unavailable, and it provides that extra support, but it gives information for Broken Blade because of the positioning of SkewMond, moving deep into the top side of the map thanks to the vision that they have. Caps pushing in this top wave, and that means that Broken Blade can play defensively, play safe, not going to fall prey to another gank. G2 set themselves up nicely on the top side, which is exactly where Atakan is. Rogue now have to fight their way back through the top side of the map. They get control over the mid wave thanks to the control that this Corki has with Patrik. They're clearing out this vision and moving into the top river. G2, they're going to have to respect this, and we're going to continue to see this trade back and forth. The advantage that G2 will be looking for is if Rogue miss a few of these wards, like that one ward on the Raptor Pit, that control ward that's sitting on the blue buff. These give great TP flanks for the Cho'Gath, who can sometimes struggle to get into these fights.
Some are forced away for now, but as you say, those couple of extra wards just behind Rogue right now are causing a few issues because you have the possibility of TPing here. It looks like it's going to be cleared out. Larssen and Broken Blade still farming in the bot lane, but there's still a ward on the Razorbeak, not the Razorbeaks, what are they called, Betty? Wolves, that's the one that never has changed its name across the entire history of League of Legends.
But that vision was spotted out.
Most of it cleared out now by Rogue. They are doing their due diligence. That push through mid gave them extra time around here, but they are having to invest some of their own vision in their own side of the jungle, which does mean if they start up Atakan, they don't have vision in G2's red side where you can't see them advancing towards you. I have also seen the argument from time to time that if you're going to play around a topside Atakan, you actually want topside pressure more than mid pressure. You just clear out a wave in mid and then overload the topside to really get that push forward, and you use your minions as kind of an extra ward against the enemy team.
I think it also makes sense based on what G2 is playing into in this position, given that the Corki has just so much wave clear. Summit doing his best, but he just can't quite match that you're seeing on your screen right now. Still, he's getting to a point where his poke is becoming very problematic for Rogue. Nice sidestep there from Patrik, but the river control is still in their favor. Dragon in about a minute's time, and it seems that for now, G2 have shifted their focus away as Rogue continue to clear out this vision on the top side of the map. Larssen in a precarious position as Broken Blade hovers in the fog of war. Pings have come down furiously onto the bot side of the map, informing Larssen that he needs to be cautious.
I think Malrang really wants his own red buff as well. SkewMond's taking that one away right now. Able to sneak it out, but it looks like Rogue might be collapsing towards the top side here. Larssen waiting on that Mega Blast Cone. They'll try and get onto SkewMond. They catch him out. Glacial Fissure going down as well. The flash forward, flash away, but they're looking for those concussive blows and they'll land them. Broken Blade can't do much to dissuade Rogue from just collapsing on SkewMond. They'll get the kill. Now they'll turn their attention across towards the Cho. Shielded Durant for the stun, and that should be a very dead Cho'Gath. In the end, Broken Blade will fall to Larssen. The mid lane tier 2 will fall though, as G2 have a little bit of time with it, and Patrik can't keep them away.
Debatable who is the real winner there, but the positive that I want to take away is how fast that play was from Rogue. The fact that they were clearly pinging to Larssen, careful, they are definitely in our bot side of the jungle. Let's regroup on the bot side as 4, move into the jungle, and force them out. If we can catch them, that gives us a kill. And SkewMond just overstayed a little bit too long, and he ends up losing his flash and his life. But G2 trade it for that mid-tier 2 as well. And now, Rogue find themselves with only 2 towers to 5.
Yep.
And that is where a lot of G2's control and map pressure is coming from right now. So sure, you've extended the kill lead, but the gold lead and map advantage still in favor of G2.
Really, the big 2 players are caps for G2, 2,500 gold ahead of Larssen. TP behind, we talked about these flanking wards before. Patrik's already taken a bit of chunk. SkewMond doesn't have the flash. Broken Blade looking for the rupture here. Patrik has a flash of his own. He'll flash away. Twisted advance from Malrang. They jump onto Execute as he's now in the middle of G2. Labrov falls low. Hero's entrance. Execute's already dead. The charm just short. Perhaps a little bit too early from Caps as he wasn't able to catch Larssen as he landed. Caps still going in. Another charm comes out. Once again, just wide of their Rogue target. A Drake for G2, though, their prize alongside Execute's life.
These deep wards finally kind of paying back G2 for the investment as they're able to find that flank. They get the flash out from Patrik, they get the heal out from Execute. Adam, though, doesn't commit his TP, and neither does Larssen, so that investment from G2 means that there is an advantage in favor of Rogue, because both were used. Caps came in underneath the tower, as we're going to look back in this replay. The idea was to attack Patrik, and I love this idea because if you take him out, then there's a real threat of the other card because a lot of your damage disappears. But he's able to flash away to safety, he has the protection from Malrang there, and then G2 just turned to the nearest available target, which ends up being Execute, who was ironically executed.
And the risk now for G2 is that the Otacon has been begun by Rogue. They don't have a TP on Broken Blade, he's on his way. And the problem is, there's a feast and a smite on one side and only a smite on the other. Now, of course, Maokai relatively good at securing objectives, but very hard to do against basically 2,500 true damage. Broken Blade on the front line, Rupture's going to land on 2, Solo Player follows up onto Execute, and he is down. Patrik locked up with the cease and desist, and the Rogue took too long over that neutral. Malrang now met by Caps. Is going to get charmed up. The Otacon, though, G2's main objective after those 2 kills. Baron as well, a possibility, as they get that false life and have already forced Rogue away.
The biggest strength of Rogue in this game has been the synergy of Malrang and Adam, and we just haven't been able to see that in these fights. Rogue's coordination is just off, and it made it so easy for G2 to collapse onto the bot lane of Rogue and turn the fight in their favor. Now, with this Otacon buff, they set their sights on the Baron, and it's going to be a tough battle for Rogue.
It's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel, though. Broken Blade on the front line, the immediate turn. Never mind, the fish have got Uzis. They shoot back. Labrov takes the kill. Baron down to 6,000. Malrang trying to find a way in here. Does have a blast cone, but it looks like Rogue. The blast cone's actually a little bit too far away from Malrang, I believe. Baron secured. Labrov looked for the flash, couldn't find it onto Adam. Rupture going wide as well, and G2 should count their lucky stars that no one fell down there to the poke from Adam, and will start to back away. First recall's coming out. Nature's Grasp used by Malrang as well. They'll land the root on 2. Labrov is low, rooted up as well, but in the end, the Nature's Grasp not going to do enough.
Well, the interrupts at the very least should open up this mid-tier 1 tower for Patrik.
It bought them 4 whole seconds, Vedi.
Certainly did.
Let's go.
So a small advantage gain for Rogue, but it's insurmountable in the 5k gold lead that G2 now find themselves with. And again, look at the coordination here. Adam looking to try and poke away at the opposition, but G2's composition is very much about dive. A single overstep here from Execute as the knockup comes through onto Patrik. He's already forced to use the W to get away to safety, and there's no protection. The Galio doesn't have his ultimate to provide that peel. There's a disconnection between what it is that Rogue wants to do, and it seemed like
Patrik doesn't have flash, Vedi.
No, he doesn't.
And Hans Summer makes him pay for it. Hans gets his first kill of the game. Patrik just overextending on the bot side. I wonder if G2 played around vision well there, as Patrik definitely thought he was safe.
I mean, it's a frustrating situation to watch Rogue get themselves into, because it was a very good early game. Yep. They were playing around the map very well, but the moment they entered that mid game, they were trading kills for towers. G2 was just slowly taking control over the game, and then they tried to force an Otacon, which they just fumbled on the execution. And now G2, fully in the driver's seat, set their sights on the inhibitor towers.
Rogue really need a win this week. If they go 0-3 again, they will be one of our 2 teams getting eliminated. Whether SK will join them, we have still yet to see. Broken Blade on the front line there. Malrang looking for that flank. Rupture coming down. Caps Still on the wrong side of the wall, but he can just dash back, and with the way he's pushing in bot side, Caps goes in, executes. Well, he's executed by Caps there. Jumps across the wall. That Braum not looking tanky at all. G2 might have to think about backing away because their false lives have fallen off. Another charm goes in. Larssen pops the taunt to get that DR that Vedi was talking about earlier. TP into the base here by Broken Blade. Caps down to a third HP. Larssen has to just his punch away. Where's the peel is the question. Broken Blade going forward. Twisted advance already onto that Cho'Gath. Rupture goes wide. There's only a cannon minion here, so Hansama can't get in range of the tower to really do too much damage. Another TP coming in as Caps will rejoin the party on full life. The inhibitor in the mid lane, the first target for G2. They're chipping away at it, but unable to quite get it down as of yet. They do still have the Baron buff in another 20 seconds. They'll take the inhibitor tower in the bot side. They have a double cannon minion wave here. Larssen chunked out. Caps flashes forward once again, looking for the engage. Patrik had to cleanse, and Valkyrie away. The inhibitors will fall. 2 of them go down. G2 only 8 kills to 7 up, but 8,000 gold their advantage.
The siege was lengthy, but they made it work. I thought that with all the resets that Rogue were getting at some point, G2 would be punished for their overextension, but full utilization of the Baron results in 2 inhibitors secured. And with the Dragon spawning, G2 are likely to set their sights on that objective, but it'll just be a passing treat as they set their sights on the Nexus of Rogue, who are now in full turtle position. They're going to have to find some sort of pick or opportunity, but I'm concerned around the amount of damage that they have. The original idea on this composition, again, like I still have some questions around the purpose of this Galio in this composition. Maybe there's something that I'm missing, but when you have things like a Corki and a Jayce as a foundation, I can see the idea behind the poke. You chip away at your opposition before then following up and then looking for an engage. But when you have Braum Galio, it's very difficult to really follow up once the poke damage has been done. And G2 successfully weathered the storm of the early game. Now with the Dragon secured, they need to push in these waves. You can see SkewMond has actually gone to go and catch the top wave. I guess Broken Blade and Caps don't have TP available. Caps in a bit of danger here.
He's got Spirit Rush. He just gets away.
He doesn't have the Malignance, so the cooldown of it will be a little bit longer, but still, just in general, a relatively short cooldown.
You can see the damage that Rogue have put out in this game. Yes, Larssen has been struggling a little bit, as has Patrik. Hasn't really had the opportunity to open up in fights, but G2 are just tankier, man. Like, Broken Blade can just eat this damage for days. Adam has done 26k. And yes, Broken Blade died a few times in the early game, but since then, it really hasn't looked like a threat. Right now, Hansama is being a bit threatened. Redemption coming out. Hansama able to get out of the back of it and survive for the moment. But that was Rogue's engage. That was what they were looking for. Yes, they haven't used the Nature's Grasp, but if you can't catch out Hans, you can't catch out Labrov, Broken Blade, who cares if you catch him out? The guy's sitting on 15,000 HP. He's doing an Elden Ring build, and he's only static vitality, you know?
But he does have 6,195.
And how much does his feast do? I love looking at that number.
His feast?
It's going to be like 1,000 true damage? Or, okay, 1,000 true damage to champions and 1,626 true damage to junglers, monsters, and minions. How much health does Patrik have, Vedi?
He has 2,297
Okay, so it does half of Patrik's health.
Give or take.
Ah, nice enough. Nice enough as G2 will push in the top side, and unless Rogue finds something truly special in this moment, it feels like a victory march. The charm goes down onto Larssen. There's the solar flare for the follow-up. He's dead, says Vedi, and I think G2 agree. The inhibitor will follow shortly after, as G2 now in a 4v5 can continue to advance. Patrik chunked out by a Mystic shot there from Hansama. No Baron on G2 right now, so
really
the minions
don't need it.
a little bit less tanky. Look, Vedi, I'm looking for the silver lining. I'm looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, but it seems like it's a train about to collide into Rogue right now. They go for the engage. Malrang's already dead pretty much. Adam locked up by SkewMond. Malrang goes down. Adam has to dodge away from the Zenith Blade, but the Nexus towers have been wailed upon by G2. And Rogue will fall to 1-6. It was a good early game, but G2 through the mid-game showed why they are still a force to be reckoned with here in the LEC, and why that 6-3 record that Vedi talked about earlier won't be broken today. The hero's entrance from Larssen. Not the most apt to name this game for him. Great victory from G2 after a shaky early game. That mid-game was pretty fun to watch.
G2 get ever closer to the top of the table after Giantx's loss today. There's still possibilities for them to be in contention for that top 4 spot. Of course, you can vote for your key player of the game, Broken Blade, Caps, or Hansama, all very viable options, as G2 with a strong performance here today.
Great performance by G2. We'll be right back after the break.
Damn it. Hey Dragos, you ready for the... Oh, that doesn't look good. Wait, I have a solution, but you have a break. I will be right back. Just wait.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
See? I told you we'd figure it out.
I don't think this counts.
Come on, let's go.
Wait, is he switching lanes?
Red Bull gives you wings.
The human body was built to move. Not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secret Lab Titan Evo. Ergonomically engineered for you, gamers, hybrid workers, artists, backing your every move.